7. Good outside the switch. Doncic goes, oh, what a great step! And then he hammers it home. Broke his ankles.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. I hope you guys are doing well. I apologize, I am coming later with this video. I was in school, that's why this video is actually coming later, but that's just how life works. I have a job, I do YouTube, I have school. At the end of the day, I am going to put content out for you guys, so just bear with me. The content will be out as soon as possible after I'm done work and all that. So a report came out by Mark Stein at first, and I was like 50-50 on it because Mark Stein sometimes is right, sometimes he's not. Like, he's a good beat reporter, but sometimes you can't always rely on him. Sorry, I just hit my laptop there. But then I saw Ian Begley reported it, and we know he's the most reliable New York Knicks source out there. So I was like, okay, it's official. The New York Knicks are really interested in this guy. And the report is that the New York Knicks are interested in CJ McCollum. And I'm going to be real, I don't like this. And that has nothing to do with CJ McCollum as a player, as a person. He runs the National Basketball, like a player association. He seems like a class act. I love the way he interviews. I love his underdog story. Went from a small college, obviously went to the NBA, went from averaging like 2 or 3 points per game to like 18 or 20. Just fantastic, one of the best scorers in the game. He was extremely short in high school. He's an underdog. He's a professional scorer of the basketball. He can pull up from mid-range territory. He has that floater. He can shoot it from beyond the arc. He's good at like manipulating defenses. Like, he's great at coming off of screens and just catching defenders on his hip. He's a great player. He really is a great player. I enjoy watching CJ McCollum play. We need shot creators. And I'm not going to say he doesn't fit this team when it comes to talent. We need talent. But you have to look, like, really, just take a look at this New York Knicks team. This team in a few years is not winning anything. In my opinion, this team has reached their ceiling. If you're being real with yourself, this team has reached their ceiling. Kemba Walker is not the same player he was before. Evan Fournier, you could say we don't consistently get him involved. But Evan Fournier, he's like a C player. Like, he's an okay player. Should he be starting for like a team that's trying to contend? No, I think he should come off the bench. RJ Barrett's a young player. He's continuing to get better. I love that. Julius Randle, he's probably gone. Like, I'm not going to say he's going to be gone this season. He's probably going to be gone this upcoming offseason or this upcoming season, because it's going to be hard to trade him. Like, you see him getting into arguments with like the film coach. And I don't want to hear that it's BS, because this dude's attitude continues to get worse as the season goes on. He doesn't want to be here. I don't know if it was the money. I don't know what it was. He was motivated last year. He's unmotivated this year. There's been more bad play than good play this year. I'm just done with him. I really am. I really appreciated what he did last year, but he's been horrible. I don't know what else you want me to say. He's just been bad. If you defend Julius Randle this season, yes, you could defend him like when it comes to the offense maybe, or like just defend his play, sure. But you can't defend like his emotions. You can't defend like what he's doing. Like, he's being a bad leader, not helping guys up. Like, his body language is just awful. It just really is awful. And he's not a guy you could win with moving forward, at least in his role. If you're going to win with a Julius Randle, it's going to have to be off the bench as a third option. You simplify his role. He's a guy you can't win with when he has the ball in his hands so much. You need him to be in the position of like cutting to the basket. You can't just have him with the ball in his hands so freaking much, and that's what the New York Knicks do. So yes, I just named most of the starting lineup. This team has reached their ceiling. They really have. Especially, this team has reached their ceiling as well when Tom Thibodeau does not play the young guys. He's not playing a Cam Reddish. A report came out that he didn't want Cam Reddish. Like, I feel like Tom Thibodeau is going to be fired at some point. I'm not saying it's going to be this season. I don't know when it's going to be. Sorry, people are making noise in the background. Can't do anything about it. But Tom Thibodeau and Leon Rose are obviously not on the same page. Leon Rose traded for Cam Reddish for a reason. He drafted Obi Toppin for a reason. He doesn't like either of those guys. So Leon Rose is pretty much the head of the New York Knicks. James Dolan doesn't really have say anymore. So Thibodeau will probably be fired because they're not on the same page. I'm not saying I want him to be fired. I'm not saying like I do want him to be fired, or I'm not saying I want to keep him or I want him gone. Just, he will be fired at some point, if it's at the end of this season or next year. So this team has definitely reached their ceiling. And I feel like if we trade for a CJ McCollum, it's going to be the exact same thing. Obviously, like, he's a better leader than Randle. I do think he's a better player. But it just makes no sense. We'll be stuck in mediocrity, not good enough to compete, and not bad enough to get a high draft pick. I'm not saying we should tank, but we'll be stuck in the middle of the pack. And McCollum is a good player, like I mentioned. But would it make sense with his contract? He's older than Randle. He's an injury history with his back. I understand we need shot creators and we need talent, but he's 30 years old, played only 40 games of basketball last year. He hasn't played consistently this year. I'm not knocking his talent at all, but he makes 30 million this year, makes 33 million after that, 35 million after that. So if we trade for CJ McCollum, like we've had times as Knicks fans, we win in the moment. We win for a couple years, we compete, we go to the first or second round. That's great. But when are we going to build a longevity, consistent winner? Trading for CJ McCollum is not going to fix our problems. It's not. But I really wonder what Leon Rose's lens is, or what lens he's looking through. Is it like we're going to trade for CJ McCollum and then we're going to end up trading him after that for some young assets? Because if we're going to trade, like, we would have to trade a Julius Randle because his contract matches up the best. But to me, that just makes no sense. Like, him being older, we don't know how much of we don't know how much good basketball he has left, but having a bad back is definitely not great in a sport that you use your back a lot, you know? And it's not even his defense. Yes, he's undersized, but he's gotten better defensively. Like his defensive rating has gone up. He's a lot more disciplined on that side of the ball. But yes, you could say he's undersized. Do I think he would be a good fit with RJ? We don't know because they both kind of need the ball in their hands to be successful. But he's a great ball handler. Like, there's no such thing as like you can't trade for a guy and say they're going to be a good fit. You don't know if they're a good fit until you see them out there on the court. He's a pure scorer and all that. He's one of the most effortless scorers of the ball. But would it really make sense? Would this trade go on to make sense? And I'm not expecting us to get multiple draft picks for Randle, because Randle, with his bad attitude, with his bad play, who really wants him right now? I'm sure there is a team out there that does want him, but his trade value is not the greatest. We're going to try to get as much as possible, but if you're being real with yourself, if you're a GM, would you want a guy with a terrible attitude? Would you want a guy that's just not playing well this season? His ego, like, he has a big head right now. He thinks he's the shit after that one good year, because if we're being real, he's been bad 2 out of 3 years with the New York Knicks. Yes, you can make the argument the first year with Thibodeau, not much talent around him, but at the end of the day, he's been bad, like, no matter what the circumstances are, 2 out of 3 years. But trading for CJ McCollum with that contract, with his age, we need to build a consistent winner. I'm not saying Cam Reddish would be as good as a CJ McCollum, or if we trade it quickly or an Obi, they'll be as good as a McCollum. McCollum, I think, has a higher ceiling, or like Obi will never reach that level or quickly. And who knows, they may, but CJ McCollum's one of the best players in the game, so it's very hard to predict. And if he was younger, yeah, but he doesn't fit the timeline. What does this do to this team moving forward? We don't really get much better, in my opinion, because we don't know if he'll stay on the floor. And also, he's like kind of that mid-tier type of guy, like a Julius Randle. He's maybe a little better than a Julius Randle, but he's that mid-tier guy. Does he really get us over that hump? You know what I mean? Let me know down below your thoughts. Do you think if we trade for, obviously we're going to have to take on a big contract when we trade a Randle. Would you like some draft capital with it? Or maybe a young player, like if we trade for a De'Aaron Fox, I'm not saying it's going to happen, would you take on like a Harrison Barnes contract, something like that? But yeah, let me know down below your thoughts. I really appreciate your support. You guys are amazing. And peace out, y'all.